Hi, welcome to today's vlog post. This one is on common barriers and participation in society. First of all, jobs. Those steps. Lack of an elevator. The doors may be too narrow for your wheelchair to pass through. Location. Maybe the parking isn't good. Maybe it's a small parking lot and maybe they don't even have wheelchair accessible parking. The curbs. And like I said, the spaces may not even be available or they'd be too narrow. Bathrooms may be an issue. Volunteering, same thing. You may like to volunteer, but there are all sorts of cables. Maybe you've been to these events before, you'd like to volunteer, but there's cables all over the floor. And if you have balance issues like me, or you are using a wheelchair, that could be a pickle. That could be very hard to navigate. We have a festival in town here at Christmas time. Love this event, but they make it into a Victorian village in our convention center. Victorian village, and they block it off all through this one of the rooms, and it's really cool. But I have tripped on the cables on the floor that they use for lighting and electricity for each of the booths that are along throughout the town, throughout the quote-unquote town. And so it's really difficult. And if you wanted to volunteer there and you had balance issues or you have a wheelchair, it might be harder. And also with the booths and even other type of events, there's booths all along. It depends on the room that you have, the size of the room. The booths might be so close together that you're having a hard time getting in between them. Transportation. Not all public transportation may have the adaptability that you need. You may not have transportation at all, depending on where you live. Public transportation. You may not have a car. So even if you have, say, buses that come to your area, maybe they're only coming a few times a day to your specific area, to your specific stop that you would take. So, and maybe those times aren't good for the events that you want to volunteer at or the work that you want to do. Entertainment. Steps again. Doorways again. Bathrooms again. All the venues that I've been to, I've noticed, have accessibility. They have wheelchair seating areas, and they have the curbs cut. So there's a different area that you can go through that doesn't involve steps, because these venues all have steps, but there's an area where they can go to enter with a wheelchair. So but you have to look long and hard to sometimes find places that you can actually access, and that can be difficult sometimes, even though there are abilities parks, and all abilities parks, I should say, and different places are getting more savvy, or I don't know if that's a word, but aware that they need to accommodate everyone. I remember when we took our exchange student to Disneyland, and it was so hot. I thought I was gonna have a stroke. But the attendant there at one of the rides must have seen me slowly turning purple. It was so hot, and she motioned us, said, come with me, and I'm like, well, and she probably maybe saw the wobble walk too, I don't know, but anyway, she led us behind this into this other area where they board wheelchairs onto the rides, and she let us get on so I wouldn't have to walk, because I mean the line was like a mile long still, and we'd been standing there for probably half an hour, so we were able to get right on. And so I don't have a handicap parking spot or parking permit, and I don't have other things that would make it maybe easier on me, like a pass that would get me in faster. I have never really considered myself handicapped or disabled or any of the other labels. I know that I've talked about labels before. I've never really thought of myself in that category, so I don't really take advantage of those when maybe I should, because I do have those mobility issues. So anyway, we got in much earlier into the ride, much earlier than we expected to. People's attitudes, that's a big one. Those can be barriers. There's stereotyping. Oh, this person's unhealthy. They're unable to do anything. Sometimes, they might think, oh, there must be something really wrong with this person because they walk funny, or they are in a wheelchair. There's also discrimination, prejudice, stigma. Some people may think that it's a punishment for something that the person has done wrong. Or they might think that something that this person has, just because they're different from them, that, oh, this problem might be catching. Oh, I shouldn't be near this person because it's catching, or they shouldn't be able to do that job. I don't want them to be here with my customers, with my employees. What if they catch something? That's really ignorant, but some people think that way. Or that it's disgraceful in some way, that there's something wrong with you. So what did you do wrong to make this happen? What such a disgrace that you're not quote unquote normal. So that really affects how they treat you in public, how they treat you as a member of society. And in this crazy, busy world, seems like everybody's in a hurry. And if you have to slow down for somebody because they're in a wheelchair or they walk slower, they have mobility issues. Some people just don't have the patience. They just can't deal with it. So they don't hire those people with issues, with health issues. Even though they could very well do the job, they're qualified to do the job, They may have to have some changes made, some reasonable alterations to their work environment, but they basically can do that job. But people just don't want to put up with having someone that they feel may not be able to do the job fast enough or well enough. Maybe they think just because, say, I've had instances where people thought because I walked with a wobble, I was mentally challenged. So maybe they think everybody that's in a wheelchair is mentally challenged too. And I'm like, they're mentally. I when I was a kid, I would say when I saw somebody parking in a handicapped parking spot, wheelchair accessible parking spot, I would say, well, they're the ones that are handicapped. They're the ones that are disabled. They can't read. And my parents got a kick out of that because, I thought, well, they're parking in a spot that they really are not designated to use, yet they're using it. So, I just think that people's attitudes make such a difference, and maybe they just don't think that what they're saying is all that wrong. Maybe they've just been conditioned through people that they've been around all their lives. Maybe that's the reason that they do it. I don't know, but there's other people. Okay, there's people that think that you must be getting a heck of a lot of money from the government. You're just sitting around doing nothing. And then there's other people that don't want you working with them because you'll just be too slow and you'll be in the way and all that. So there's these two camps that, you're lazy if you stay home, but you're a pain in the neck if you come to try to work with them. So it's like, what? Oh dear. And it's also your attitude. What's your attitude toward your disability, your health issues? Do you really think that you are the disability? Do you sit at home and wallow in it? Do you sit at home and think, oh, well, I can't do anything? Or do you go out and you say, I've got this problem, but it doesn't have me. I still can do things. I can still be a valuable, productive member of society if people will just give me a chance. And keep going out there. You keep going out there and giving it a try. Trying all sorts of things and advocating for yourself. So there's two different things. You can either be wallowing in self-pity, or you can be out there saying, I deserve just as much rights, just as much right and just as much of an opportunity to work and participate in society as anybody else. Get out of my way, I'm coming through. So, which one are you? Which side are you on? Okay, and there's also policies and procedures and services that get in the way. Laws aren't enforced. Awareness isn't there. Physical barriers, like we've talked about. Denying reasonable accommodations, like we've been talking about. To qualified people. They're qualified, but they can't take the job because people aren't willing to fix an area where they can actually get there and do their job. No communication with the person who may benefit from, say, programs that are available out there. People don't know about it and people aren't telling them about it. And And people in the jobs, they're working for people with disabilities, in programs for people with disabilities, don't know their job and aren't communicating properly to people that may benefit from the programs. And machines may be required. It may not be required, but it may be required that you stand for a machine, like in a hospital, say a mammogram machine. So you can't use it, or it's very difficult if you have trouble standing, or if you can't stand. Weight scales, same thing. Some of them aren't wheelchair accessible. Some of them aren't don't have the ability to step up. Well, you have to step up onto them. Maybe somebody's not good at stepping up, so they can't use them. Communication barriers. For people who have hearing, speaking, reading, and writing issues. Small print, no braille option, videos without captions, no sign language available, communicating only on technical terms or with big long words for people that have cognitive issues. Now, maybe these people who have the cognitive issues, maybe some people say, well, they don't belong in the job then. Well, equal opportunity. If you mean equal opportunity, you better mean it. You better put it into action. Social barriers. Disability. If you have a disability, you're less apt to be employed. You're less likely to complete high school. You're more often to live in poverty. All of these things affect how we live, how we grow, how we communicate, how we get into society and become productive members of society. So they're so important, and they're so important to break down those barriers and get out there and advocate for yourself and advocate for all people to be able to enter any place, do anything they want to, do anything they physically and mentally can do. So I hope this video has been helpful, and give me an email at amy@acnlifecoach.com and let me know what you think. You take care.